Dad texted, "Christmas too pricey, just immediate family." I replied okay. That night sister posted video, everyone with gifts. My daughter was devastated. I quietly ended all their payments. Next day they all saw. The text came through on December 23rd while I was finishing up a project deadline at work. My father's message was brief and matter-of-fact, "Hey sweetie, your mother and I have been talking. Christmas is getting too expensive with everyone's kids growing up. We're keeping it to immediate family only this year. Hope you understand." I stared at the screen, reading it 3 times to make sure I understood correctly. My daughter Emma was 8 years old, and Christmas at my parents' house had been the highlight of her years since she could walk. I typed back a simple "Okay, Dad. We understand," and set my phone down, feeling a hollow weight settle in my chest. Emma had already made a construction paper card for her grandparents. She'd spent hours on it, carefully gluing cotton balls to make a snowman's body and adding glitter that still decorated our kitchen floor. When I got home that evening, she asked if she could start wrapping the presents she'd picked out for her cousins. "Actually, honey, Grandma and Grandpa are doing something smaller this year," I said, crouching down to her level. "Just their house, just them. We'll have our own special Christmas here." Her face fell in that devastating way only a child's can. "But I made everyone cards. And we always go to Grandma's house." "I know, baby. Things change sometimes." She nodded slowly, trying to be brave, and went to her room. I heard her close the door quietly, which somehow hurt worse than if she'd slammed it. The next morning, Christmas Eve, I woke up to 17 notifications on my phone. My sister Ashley had posted a video on social media at 11:47 p.m. the night before, just hours after my father's text. The thumbnail showed my parents' living room, decorated exactly as it always was, with a massive tree my father insisted on cutting down himself every year. I pressed play with trembling fingers. There was Ashley's husband Brett, handing out gifts. There were my parents, smiling as Ashley's twins Oliver and Ruby tore into presents. My brother Nathan's kids were there too, his daughter Qley sitting on my mother's lap while my father adjusted the camera. The stockings hung on the mantel, each one labeled with a family member's name. I counted them twice. Ashley's family, Nathan's family, my parents. No stocking for Emma. No stocking for me. The video went on for 4 minutes. I watched my nephew Tyler get the exact gaming system Emma had circled in every catalog that came to our house. I saw Ruby unwrap American Girl dolls, heard my mother's laugh as she helped Oliver assemble some kind of robot kit. The caption read, "Blessed to have these magical Christmas Eve traditions with the people who matter most." Emma wandered into my room around 7 a.m., still in her pajamas. "Mom, can I use your tablet to play games?" "Sure, sweetheart." I handed it to her, then watched in horror as she navigated to the browser, which was still open to Ashley's social media profile. The video autoplayed. Emma's face went through a series of expressions I never want to see again. Confusion first, then recognition, then a crushing sadness that made her look far older than 7. She watched the whole thing in silence, her thumb hovering over the screen but never pausing it. "They said it was too expensive," she whispered when it ended. "I know. But everyone else is there." I had no answer that wouldn't be a lie or make things worse. She handed the tablet back to me and walked out of my room, her shoulders curved inward like she was trying to make herself smaller. I sat there on my bed, still in yesterday's clothes because I'd fallen asleep on top of the covers, and opened my banking app. My parents didn't know I could see their accounts. When my father had his heart attack 3 years ago, he'd added me to everything just in case. I'd been paying their mortgage every month since then, a $2,400 payment that came directly out of my account via automatic transfer. I scrolled further. Nathan's car payment, the one he'd gotten behind on after his wife left, and I'd quietly taken over. $512 monthly. Ashley's credit card, the one she'd maxed out when Brett lost his job, which I'd been making minimum payments on for 18 months. $350 monthly. My mother's medication copays, automatically charged to my card because her insurance was garbage. Roughly $200 monthly. The family cell phone plan, which somehow I'd become responsible for when my father claimed he couldn't figure out how to set up autopay. $280 for 5 lines monthly. The storage unit where Nathan kept all his ex-wife's belongings because he was too sentimental to sort through them. $165 monthly. Ashley's gym membership, the fancy one she needed for her mental health after Ruby was born. $89 monthly. I added it up. $3,996 per month. $47,952 annually. For 3 years on most of these payments, with Nathan's car and the cell phone plan going back even further to nearly 4 years, I'd been subsidizing my family's lifestyle while working 60-hour weeks as a project manager and raising Emma alone after her father decided fatherhood wasn't for him when she was 2. The money wasn't the point. I made good money, enough that these payments didn't devastate me financially, though they'd certainly prevented me from saving for Emma's college fund the way I planned. The point was the lie. The casual cruelty of excluding a 7-year-old from Christmas while I funded their lives, then broadcasting that exclusion for everyone to see. I opened my laptop and started canceling things. The mortgage payment cancellation took 3 minutes. The bank's website made it remarkably easy to stop automatic transfers. Nathan's car payment was through a different system, but equally simple. Ashley's credit card required a phone call to remove my account information, but the automated system handled it without needing to speak to a human. I canceled the medication autopay. Removed myself from the cell phone account entirely, which meant they'd have to set up their own plan. Canceled the storage unit payment and the gym membership. By the time Emma woke up from her mid-morning nap, something she rarely took but clearly needed today, I'd systematically extracted myself from every financial obligation I'd taken on for my family. I'd also drafted an email to the property management company handling my parents' mortgage, explaining that I'd made arrangements to cover payments but needed to ensure the account holder was aware of the loan terms going forward. Christmas Day, I took Emma to see a movie at the theater, something we rarely did. We got popcorn and candy, and she seemed to perk up during the film. When we got home that evening around 6 p.m., my phone had been buzzing nonstop. I'd left it in the car deliberately, not wanting the day ruined. 71 notifications. I scrolled through the messages, watching the progression from confusion to anger to panic. Nathan's messages were particularly revealing. Whatever's going on with your accounts, I need you to fix it. My car payment is due and they're going to repo if it doesn't clear. Then, an hour later, are you seriously ignoring me right now? I'm your brother. Call me back. Then, this is really messed up. It's Christmas. Ashley's text evolved faster. Brett's phone just died, and when I checked, our whole family plan is cancelled. What's going on? Then, Mom tried to pick up her prescriptions and the card declined. This isn't funny. Then, you're being incredibly selfish right now. Then, of course, you'd pull something like this. You've always been jealous that Mom and Dad are closer with us. The only person who hadn't called was my mother. That changed around 9 p.m. What did you do? She asked when I answered, her voice shaking with rage rather than concern. No hello, no preamble. I stopped paying for things that aren't my responsibility. Your father is beside himself. Nathan's car payment bounced. Ashley can't reach anyone because the phone plan isn't working. I need to pick up my medications tomorrow. What were you thinking? I was thinking about Emma watching a video of the Christmas party she wasn't invited to because it was too expensive. Silence on the other end. Then, that was your father's decision. We have a limited income. You have a limited income because I've been paying your mortgage for 3 years, Mom. Your mortgage, that's $2,400 a month. Plus Nathan's car. Plus Ashley's credit card debt. Plus your medications, which cost me $200 a month because you won't get better insurance. Plus the cell phone plan. Plus Nathan's storage unit. Plus Ashley's gym membership. More silence. Emma saw everyone opening presents last night. She saw her cousins getting gifts at the house where we've celebrated every Christmas of her life. She asked me why Grandma and Grandpa said Christmas was too expensive but everyone else was there. We didn't think you'd make such a big deal about it, my mother said finally. Emma's young. She'll get over it. Something in my chest cracked at those words. You're right. She will get over it. And in the meantime, you can figure out how to pay your own bills. You're going to let your father lose his house over a Christmas party? I'm going to let my father pay for his own house. Something he should have been doing all along. The bank is aware of the loan terms now. You'll need to work out a payment plan directly with them. You selfish, ungrateful. I hung up. My hands were shaking, but not from fear. From 3 years of swallowed anger finally finding its way out. The calls continued through the night. I slept better than I had in months. Boxing Day morning, I woke to an email from my father. It was long, rambling, alternating between anger and pleading. The gist was that I was destroying the family over a misunderstanding, that they planned to have Emma over for a belated celebration, that I was being vindictive and cruel. He'd attached a spreadsheet showing their monthly expenses, highlighting in red how my sudden withdrawal of support was going to result in catastrophic consequences. I replied with my own spreadsheet. 3 years of payments, categorized and totaled, with notes showing Nathan's car payments actually went back 42 months and the cell phone plan had been on my account for 47 months. The grand total came to $156,420. I added a single line of text: Emma and I will be having our own Christmas traditions from now on. Please don't contact me unless it's an emergency. My Aunt Lorraine called that afternoon. She was my mother's younger sister, someone I'd always liked but rarely saw. Your mother asked me to talk to you, she started, then paused. But honestly, I'm calling because I want to understand what happened. I told her everything. The text from my father, the video, Emma's face, the years of payments I'd never mentioned to anyone because it felt like family duty. Jesus Christ, Lorraine said when I finished. I knew you helped out sometimes, but I didn't realize it was that extensive. Or that they pulled that stunt with Christmas. Ashley posted it publicly. They weren't even trying to hide it. Your sister has always been thoughtless, but this is something else, Lorraine sighed heavily. Look, I'm not going to tell you what to do. But I want you to know that what you did makes sense. I probably would have done worse. That call was the only supportive contact I received. Everyone else was united in their opinion that I was overreacting, that family helps family, that I was being petty and vindictive over a simple exclusion that wasn't personal. Nathan showed up at my apartment on December 27th. I watched through the peephole as he knocked, waited, knocked again. I know you're in there, he called. Your car is here. Just open the door so we can talk like adults. I didn't open it. After 15 minutes, he left. The storage unit company called on December 28 to inform me they'd been unable to charge the account on file and the unit would be auctioned if payment wasn't received within 30 days. I provided them with Nathan's contact information and email address, explaining that the account holder would need to make arrangements directly. The customer service representative sounded confused but took down the information. I later learned from Lorraine that Nathan had to borrow money from his ex-wife to clear out the unit before the auction date. Ashley's gym charged her actual credit card on December 29, and it declined. She posted a long rant on social media about fake family members who abandon you when you need them most and people who use money to manipulate relationships. I didn't respond, but several mutual friends sent me screenshots with messages of support that surprised me. My parents' mortgage company sent them a default notice on December 30th. My father called and left a voicemail that was mostly shouting about how I'd betrayed them, how they'd given me everything, how they'd raised me better than this. He didn't mention the 3 years of payments, or the additional year before that for some expenses. He didn't mention Emma. New Year's Eve, I took Emma to a fancy hotel downtown. We swam in the heated pool, ordered room service, and watched the fireworks from our window. She'd been gradually returning to her normal self, though I caught her sometimes staring at nothing with a sadness that made my heart ache. Mom, she said as we watched the city lights sparkle below us, are we not going to see Grandma and Grandpa anymore? I don't know, baby. Maybe someday. But not right now. Because they didn't want us at Christmas? Because they made choices that hurt us, and I made a choice to protect us. She thought about this for a long moment. Okay. I miss them though. I know. I miss them too. And I did, in a complicated way. I missed the parents I thought I had, the ones who wouldn't have excluded their granddaughter while cashing checks I wrote. But I didn't miss the people they'd actually revealed themselves to be. On January 2nd, I received an email from Nathan's ex-wife, Melissa. We'd never been close, but her message was direct. Nathan called me yesterday asking if I could help with his car payment because his sister cut him off. When I asked why you'd been paying it in the first place, he couldn't give me a straight answer. I just wanted to say good for you. He's been telling everyone I took him for everything in the divorce, but apparently you've been floating him this whole time. Also, he needed money for that storage unit he claimed he couldn't afford to empty. You don't owe him anything. That same day, the bank approved my parents for a mortgage modification. My father had apparently gone in person and explained the situation, omitting the part where I'd been making payments but emphasizing his fixed income and my mother's medical needs. Their payment dropped to $1,800 monthly for 3 years, after which it would return to the original amount. He didn't call to tell me this. I found out because the bank sent me a courtesy notification since I'd been on the account. Ashley's credit card company contacted me on January 5 because she disputed several charges, claiming she'd never authorized the payments I'd been making. The representative explained they'd reviewed the account and confirmed I'd been making voluntary payments on a card that wasn't mine, and asked if I wanted to continue. I said no. Ashley's debt went into collections 3 weeks later. The gym membership auto-renewed with Ashley's actual card information because she'd updated it without removing the old payment method. It declined, her account was frozen, and she complained on social media about predatory business practices at luxury fitness centers. Nathan's car was repossessed on January 18. He posted in a local community group asking if anyone knew good lawyers because the repo was illegal and discriminatory. Multiple people pointed out that not paying your car loan is generally legal grounds for repossession. He deleted the post within an hour. My mother's medication situation resolved itself when my father finally applied for the better insurance plan through his former employer's retirement benefits. The coverage had always been available, but they'd resisted paying the higher premium because I'd been covering the medication costs anyway. Now it cost them $150 more per month in premiums but covered her prescriptions at a $10 copay instead of $40 to $60 each. The cell phone situation was the most chaotic. Without my payment, all 5 lines were suspended within 2 billing cycles. Ashley set up her own family plan and added my parents. Nathan got his own phone through his new girlfriend, whom he'd apparently been seeing since before his divorce was final. My father complained that their new plan was $180 monthly compared to the $56 their portion had been on my plan, conveniently ignoring that I'd been covering $280 for all of them. Through all of this, Emma and I built our own routines. We started having Friday movie nights where she picked a film and we made themed snacks. We joined a mother-daughter book club at the library. I'd saved more in 2 months than I had in the previous year, and I opened the college fund I'd been planning, starting it with $5,000. Valentine's Day brought the first real attempt at reconciliation. My mother called from a number I didn't recognize, probably a friend's phone. I answered without thinking. "I want to see my granddaughter," she said without preamble. "Whatever is going on between us, Emma shouldn't be punished. Emma was punished when you excluded her from Christmas. I'm protecting her now." "That's not fair." We explained that we had budget constraints. "While I paid your mortgage. While I covered Nathan's car and Ashley's debt and your medications and the cell phone plan and everything else. You had budget constraints because you were spending money on everyone who was at that party. Just not on us. You didn't realize that seeing everyone else celebrate without her would hurt? You didn't realize that lying about why we were excluded would be cruel? Or you didn't realize I'd find out?" Silence. Then, "Your father wants to talk to you." "I don't want to talk to him. He's your father. You owe him respect." That word. Oh. As if my entire relationship with my family had been reduced to a balance sheet of debts and obligations. "Tell him to send an email," I said, and hung up. The email arrived 2 days later. It was shorter than his first one, less angry, more calculating. He acknowledged that perhaps they'd handled Christmas poorly. He suggested we all sit down for a family meeting to clear the air and move forward. He mentioned that Emma deserved to have her grandparents in her life. He noted that families forgive each other. He didn't apologize. He didn't acknowledge the money, except for one line: "If there were financial arrangements that caused confusion, we should discuss those openly." Financial arrangements that caused confusion. As if I'd accidentally been paying their bills for 3 years through some banking error. I didn't respond to that email. March brought spring and my birthday. In previous years, my parents hosted a dinner, Ashley made her famous triple-layer cake, and Nathan organized some activity he thought was fun but usually wasn't. This year, Emma and I went to a pottery painting studio and made matching mugs. We got ice cream after and watched the sunset from a park bench. My phone remained quiet all day. No calls, no texts, no messages. I'd expected some kind of contact, even just a cursory happy birthday text. The silence was its own message. Emma asked about it while we were eating dinner that night at her favorite pizza place. Did Grandma and Grandpa forget your birthday? Maybe they're still upset with me. That's mean. You're supposed to say happy birthday even if you're fighting. Out of the mouths of 7-year-olds. You're right, honey. It is mean. Do you miss them? I considered lying, giving her the easy answer. But Emma deserved honesty, age-appropriate but real. I miss the way things used to be. But I don't miss feeling like we didn't matter. She nodded solemnly, taking another bite of her pepperoni slice. We matter to each other. Yeah, baby. We definitely do. The property management company handling my parents' mortgage called me in April. The representative explained they'd missed 3 payments under their modified plan and were at risk of foreclosure. Since I'd previously been making payments, would I be willing to resume? No, I said simply. The account holders are elderly and on a fixed income. Any assistance you could provide. They're 64 and 66, both in reasonably good health, with retirement income and Social Security. They're not destitute. They're irresponsible. There was a pause. I understand. We'll proceed with our standard protocols. My father somehow got my work email address and sent me a message there, which felt like a violation of a boundary I hadn't realized I needed to set. The subject line was urgent, family emergency. The body of the email detailed their financial crisis, blamed me explicitly for creating it by withdrawing support, and demanded I contact him immediately. I forwarded it to HR with a note explaining this was a personal matter bleeding into my professional space and asking them to block his email address from our company system. They did, and also checked in to make sure I was safe and didn't need any additional support. The concern in my manager's eyes made me realize how abnormal my family situation had become. Ashley reached out through Instagram in May, a long message request since we were no longer friends on any platform. Her note was manipulative in its construction, starting with memories of our childhood, moving through expressions of confusion about what had gone wrong, and ending with accusations that I'd abandoned the family over a misunderstanding that could easily be resolved if I'd just communicate. She didn't mention Emma. She didn't mention Christmas. She especially didn't mention the 18 months of credit card payments I'd made on her behalf. I deleted the message without responding. Nathan apparently told his girlfriend the whole story because she sent me a friend request with a message, "I don't know you, but Nathan has been talking about his sister who cut off the whole family over a Christmas party, and when I pressed him on details, the story didn't add up. He finally admitted you'd been paying for his car and a bunch of other stuff for years. Just wanted you to know I think you did the right thing. He needs to grow up." They broke up 2 weeks later. Nathan blamed me in a post that several mutual friends screenshot and sent to me, suggesting I'd sabotaged his relationship. His ex-girlfriend commented on the post, "I broke up with you because you're a 35-year-old man who expected your sister to pay your bills and got mad when she stopped. Grow up." Summer came. Emma finished 3rd grade with excellent marks and a glowing report from her teacher. We took a vacation to the beach, something I'd always wanted to do but never felt like we could afford. We built sandcastles, collected shells, and Emma learned to boogie board. She didn't mention her grandparents once during the whole trip. I posted a few photos on social media, mostly because I wanted to document Emma's joy. I'd unfriended Ashley back in January after her increasingly hostile messages, but she must have seen the photos through a mutual friend because she texted from yet another new number. "Must be nice to afford vacations when you're not helping your family anymore." I blocked the number without responding, but I thought about her comment for days. The audacity of framing my support as something I'd taken away rather than something I'd given freely until they proved it meant nothing. My Aunt Lorraine invited us to her 4th of July barbecue. "Your parents will be there," she warned me. "I can't not invite them. But I wanted you and Emma to come too. You shouldn't have to miss family events because of their behavior." I thanked her but declined. The idea of seeing my parents across a picnic table, pretending everything was fine while hot dogs grilled and fireworks exploded, felt impossible. Emma was disappointed, but she understood. Lorraine called me the day after the barbecue. Your mother spent the entire time playing the victim, she reported. Going on about how you abandoned them, how they're struggling financially, how Emma is being kept from her loving grandparents. I finally asked her directly why you stopped helping, and she gave me some vague answer about a disagreement over Christmas plans. That's one way to describe deliberately excluding your 7-year-old granddaughter from the family celebration while posting it publicly. That's what I thought. So I asked Ashley about it, and she got defensive and changed the subject. Your family is really something else. They're your family too. Biologically, sure. But I wouldn't treat my dog the way they treated you and Emma. August brought Emma's 9th birthday. We had a party at a trampoline park with 12 of her school friends. It was chaotic and loud and perfect. She didn't ask if her grandparents would be there. That absence of expectation hurt more than if she'd asked directly. My parents sent a card to our apartment, no return address. Inside was a $25 gift card to a toy store and a note, "Happy birthday, Emma. We love you and miss you. Love, Grandma and Grandpa." No message for me, no acknowledgement of why we weren't in their lives. Emma looked at the card for a long moment. Can we use this to buy stuff? Of course, honey. It's yours. We went to the toy store that weekend. She picked out art supplies and a stuffed bunny. She didn't mention her grandparents again. September marked 9 months since I'd stopped making payments. Nathan's social media presence had diminished significantly, probably because his life was no longer subsidized enough to look impressive online. Ashley still posted regularly, though her content had shifted from vacation photos and restaurant meals to inspirational quotes about overcoming adversity and recognizing fake people. My parents had apparently worked out a payment plan with the bank because their house wasn't foreclosed on, though my father's LinkedIn profile now showed he'd taken a part-time consultant position with his former company. My mother had started selling crafts on Etsy, poorly photographed crocheted items that didn't seem to be moving based on her 0 reviews. They were figuring it out. Without me. October brought parent-teacher conferences. Emma's teacher praised her creativity, her kindness, her academic progress. Then, gently, she mentioned that Emma had written a story about a girl whose family forgot about her during the holidays. Is everything okay at home? The teacher asked carefully. I explained the situation in broad strokes, nothing too detailed, just enough context. The teacher nodded understanding. Emma seems well-adjusted overall, but that kind of exclusion can really impact children. I'm glad you're aware and addressing it. We were addressing it in therapy, actually. I'd started taking Emma to a child psychologist in February, concerned about the long-term impact. The therapist said Emma was processing things in a healthy way, that she understood she'd done nothing wrong, that the adults in her life had made bad choices. Still, hearing her write about being forgotten hurt. Halloween came. Emma dressed as a scientist, complete with a lab coat covered in fabric-painted equations. We trick-or-treated in our neighborhood, and she came home with enough candy to last until Christmas. That night, before bed, she asked, "Do you think they'll want us at Christmas this year?" There it was. The question I'd been dreading. I don't know, Emma. But even if they do invite us, I'm not sure we should go. Because they were mean? Because they hurt us and haven't said they're sorry or that they understand why it was wrong. She processed this, her face serious in the way children look when they're trying to understand adult complexity. If they said sorry, could we go? Maybe. But they'd have to really mean it, and they'd have to promise not to hurt us like that again. Okay. She hugged me tightly. I like our Christmas anyway. Just us. My heart broke and healed simultaneously. November arrived with cooling weather and the approaching holidays. I waited for contact from my family, some attempt at reconciliation before the anniversary of last year's disaster. Nothing came. Thanksgiving week, Lorraine invited us again. This time I accepted, confirming my parents wouldn't be there. She'd invited them to her house the day after instead, creating a buffer. Emma was excited to see Lorraine's cats and meet some cousins she'd only met as a baby. The gathering was small and warm. Lorraine's husband was kind, asking Emma about school and listening to her chatter about her science projects. Their adult son brought his girlfriend, who played endless rounds of Go Fish with Emma. Nobody mentioned my parents or the situation. It felt normal in a way I'd forgotten family events could feel. December 1st brought a letter. Actual mail, addressed to me in my mother's handwriting. I opened it while Emma was at school, hands shaking slightly. Dear daughter, it began, and I almost stopped reading there. But I continued. The letter was 2 pages, handwritten on her good stationery. She wrote about how the past year had been difficult, how they'd had to make hard choices, how they'd learned to live within their means. She mentioned my father's part-time work, her Etsy store, the ways they'd adapted. Then, finally, we understand now that we relied on you too heavily. We took advantage of your generosity and didn't recognize how much you were sacrificing for us. We especially understand that excluding Emma from Christmas while accepting your financial support was wrong. There's no excuse for how we handled that, and we're sorry. She went on to say they'd like to see us again, that they missed Emma terribly, that they hoped we could rebuild our relationship. She didn't ask for money. She didn't make excuses. She just apologized and asked for a chance. I read it 3 times, looking for manipulation or hidden demands. It seemed genuine, but I'd been fooled before. I called Lorraine. Did my mother tell you she was sending me a letter? She mentioned she was trying to figure out how to reach out to you. Why? I read her the letter over the phone. Lorraine was quiet for a moment after I finished. That sounds like actual accountability. I'm shocked, honestly. Should I respond? That's entirely up to you. But if you do want to rebuild something, this is probably as close to a real apology as you're going to get from them. I thought about it for 3 days. Finally, on December 4th, I wrote back. My letter was shorter. I acknowledged their apology and explained that trust had been broken badly enough that rebuilding would take time. I suggested we start with occasional phone calls with Emma, see how those went, and potentially move towards supervised visits in neutral locations. I was clear that financial support was permanently off the table and that they needed to maintain their own independence. I ended by saying I hoped we could eventually have a relationship again, but it would have to be one built on mutual respect rather than obligation. I mailed it on December 8th, working up the courage to actually send it took a few more days. Almost exactly a year after the original text. Emma and I decorated our apartment that weekend. We bought a small tree and ornaments, hung lights, and made paper snowflakes. She seemed lighter this year, less burdened by expectation or disappointment. We were creating our own traditions, just the 2 of us. December 10th, the anniversary of that terrible text, my phone rang. My mother's number, the real one. I answered. I got your letter, she said. Her voice was tentative, lacking its usual authoritative tone. Thank you for responding. You're welcome. Could Emma maybe talk to us sometime? On the phone? Your father misses her voice. I looked at Emma, who was coloring at the kitchen table. Let me ask her. She gets to decide. I put the phone on mute. Emma, honey, Grandma is on the phone. She wants to know if you'd like to talk to her and Grandpa sometime. You don't have to if you don't want to. Emma's face went through several expressions. Would they be nice? I think they would be. But if they're not, you can hang up at any time. Okay. I can try. I unmuted. She says she's willing to try a phone call. How about this Sunday at 2 p.m.? That would be wonderful. My mother's voice cracked slightly. Thank you. Both of you. Sunday came. I set up the call on speakerphone so I could monitor. My parents were careful, asking Emma about school and her birthday and what she wanted for Christmas. Emma was polite but guarded, giving short answers. After 15 minutes, she said she needed to go finish her homework. That was hard, she said after we hung up. I know, baby. You did great. Can we do it again? That surprised me. You want to? Yeah. It felt weird, but also kind of good. I miss them even though I'm still mad. We did another call 2 weeks later. This one went better, lasted longer. Emma showed them a drawing she'd made. My father cried, which I could hear even though he tried to hide it. Christmas Eve, we stayed home. Emma and I baked cookies and watched movies. Around 8 p.m., a box arrived by delivery service. Inside were presents for Emma, wrapped carefully, with tags that said from Grandma and Grandpa. There was also a card for me, containing a photo of Emma from when she was 3, playing in my parents' backyard. On the back, my mother had written, "We're so sorry we forgot what matters." Love always. Emma opened the presents on Christmas morning. Art supplies, books, a science kit she'd mentioned wanting during one of the phone calls. Thoughtful gifts, not expensive but chosen with care. She arranged them carefully under our tree and took a photo. "Can I send this to them?" she asked. "Sure, honey." She dictated a text message to me, "Thank you for the presents. I really like them. Merry Christmas. Love, Emma." My mother's response came within minutes, "Merry Christmas, sweetheart. We love you so much. We're taking it slow. Phone calls every 2 weeks, careful conversations where my parents have to prove they've changed. Emma's trust is fragile, and I won't let them break it again. It's been a year now since I stopped the payments. My family learned to stand on their own feet. Nathan got a better job and pays his own bills. Ashley's credit recovered after she took financial responsibility seriously. My parents downsized to a smaller, more affordable home and actually seem happier with less financial stress. As for Emma and me, we're stronger than ever. Our little family of 2 has everything we need. The college fund I started now has over $15,000 in it. We take trips, make memories, and build traditions that belong only to us. Sometimes people ask if I regret cutting them off so completely. I don't. I regret that it was necessary, but I don't regret protecting my daughter and myself. They excluded us when we were paying their way through life, then acted like we were the problem when I stopped. The best revenge wasn't the financial fallout or watching them scramble. It was building a life where we didn't need them anymore. Where Emma learned that family means treating each other with respect, not obligation. Where I learned that generosity without appreciation is just enabling. We might rebuild our relationship with my parents eventually. Maybe. But it'll be on our terms this time, built on honesty instead of hidden resentment and unspoken debts. And every Christmas from now on, Emma will know she matters. Not because of money, not because of convenience, but because she's loved unconditionally. That's worth more than anything I ever paid for.